Hello and welcome to Meet Our Makers. I am your host, Jeremy J. Fissette. On this episode, we get to meet Larkin Grimm. Larkin Grimm is a singer and songwriter and artist currently living in New York, though originally from Georgia. She has released 5 albums under her own name and has also played with numerous well-known indie rock bands. In this chat, we discuss what it was like growing up musical and queer in the South, as well as what it was like for her when she finally broke free of those restraints. We talk about finding your artistic voice and trusting that artistic voice, as well as shedding what Larkin prefers to call the vampires in our life. So please enjoy, and thank you for listening. This is me meeting Larkin Grimm. Hi, Larkin.
Hi, how's it going, Barry?
Hi. Good, how are you?
The audio is good. I can
Oh, that's good.
hear you really well.
Cool. How are you doing?
Well, it's like so much drama for being stuck at home, you know?
I know, isn't that funny? It's so weird. You'd think that everyone being stuck at home would kind of minimize that, but I feel like it's just made new drama.
Yeah.
How have you been hanging in there with quarantine?
Well, I feel really lucky that I am not stuck with anyone annoying during this time. Just me and my kid who's 8, and he's really cute and sweet and just loves to play video games. And we're like, it's like I keep wishing that we were doing more creative projects, but I also understand that creativity and stress are like, they don't really go together, you know? Like,
No, they don't.
there is this myth of the starving artist, you know, like that artists need to suffer in order to create. But my personal experience, you know, with my own work and the work of my friends is, you know, you need peace and quiet in order to create. You need someone else cooking food for you, and you need to be able to sit and focus for a long period of time on your project with no interruptions and no worries.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that because I feel like there is that myth of, pain and sorrow and suffering being the catalyst for like all the good art. And maybe it is in a sense, but it's harder to create while you're in that. I feel like maybe I've had a lot of trouble. I've had a lot of creative block since this has started. And I feel like maybe once it's over and we can start sort of ruminating on how it went the whole time and look at the big picture, maybe we can create something good out of it. But being stressed and being cooped up, and like most of my effort right now is going into not like losing my mind and going stir crazy.
Yeah.
So it's not very, I don't know, it's not very creatively inspiring right now.
No, it's not. I think it's putting things into perspective for a lot of people. And I think you're right. People will come out of it with deeper insights, you know? I mean, I do think a lot of great artists have suffered. I know a lot of people who've had like terrible suffering in their lives, and then they come to a place where they're in a residency or they've got somebody taking care of them, and they've got the time and space to just process it and heal from it, you know? Like creativity, I think, is a healing process.
Totally.
And yeah, like we're all being really wounded right now. I think that it's, oh man, I mean, it's just, there's just so much to be angry about.
I know.
It's especially, I mean, I'm living in Harlem. I live 10 blocks away from where they built a field hospital in Central Park. There are rumors of people being buried in the park.
Oh God.
I think that they're actually burying people out on an island. but they kind of said to us like, oh well, we may have to bury people temporarily in the park, so don't be upset if it happens.
Yeah.
um and I live in this co-op building that's apartments that are affordable for city workers and teachers, so it's lots of bus drivers and teachers and a few nurses. And we've had one of our elders in the building has died from COVID-19, and she was a really sweet lady.
Hmm.
And it's like very close. It has hit our home.
Yeah,
I,
New York has been hit very hard. I know a few people there. It's not looking too good these days.
yeah.
It's sad. It's hard to grapple with too, because it's even if you are in a place like New York where it's one of the, they keep using the word epicenter. It's still hard to grapple with because it's just so large and we don't know the path it's going to take. We hardly even know the path it already took. So it's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you're hanging in there. I know that's pretty much all we can really hope to do these days.
Yeah, I mean, I know how to be a homebody. It's like
Right.
I think I'm well positioned for this, but the yeah, and like I'm doing okay so far.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. I know I'm a homebody too, but I just keep saying like it's the restriction that makes it so different. The fact that I don't have any other option than to be a homebody right now.
Yeah. Are
It's a
you
little
there?
different.
Are you sharing your space with anybody? Do you have roommates or anything?
I live with my boyfriend, so we're not alone, at least.
That's
And we're not at each other's throats or anything, so that's good.
Yeah.
He's still going into work, unfortunately. He works in the office for a healthcare place, so there he doesn't work in the hospital, thankfully, but because they are healthcare related, they had to stay open. So
Mm.
so he still goes into work, and I've been working from home. But yeah, I have a good home situation, so I'm sure that's helping. I can only imagine the scores of people who don't and how hard this must be.
Yeah. I have some friends who are performers who they're in a poly relationship, and they live in an apartment that I think is about 300 square feet.
Hmm.
It's a one bedroom in the West Village. They live there with grandma, who's got Alzheimer's. They've got a daughter who's 7, and then the three of them, like the guy and his wife and their girlfriend,
Hmm.
all in a one bedroom apartment, stuck
Yeah.
inside in the West Village, where there aren't really big parks. I mean, it's amazing what New Yorkers go through. This is like, I mean, it's just like there's so much going on. Oh my God. It's just
Yeah.
New York. For New Yorkers, the city is our living room. And
Hmm.
I was reading this great article that was, man, I wish I remember who wrote it. It was saying that the city is our husband or our wife. Like the city is your partner, in that the city will wash your clothes for you and cook your meals for you and provide you with inexpensive, like, access to people who will come and clean your apartment if you need it. So feminism really has like thrived in cities, because traditionally you need a partner to take care of you in order to be able to succeed in whatever your career is. But if you live in a place like New York City, you don't need a partner. You can outsource all of that work.
Hmm.
And so for women, and mothers especially, I think it's like really, like, it's devastatingly anti-feminist, this pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm like a housewife right now. I've got my friends calling me up, like sending me music. My drummer has sent me a few really great tracks to work on, and I've managed to do a couple of recordings. But I'm just like, okay, in between piles and piles of laundry and cooking 3 meals a day and being the full-time homeschool teacher for an 8-year-old, and then dealing with all of the other like business stuff that I have to deal with. It's not like I've got any extra free time.
Yeah. That's kind of the other part with, even if it were creatively stimulating to be in this scenario, so many people, I'm guessing like yourself as well, just when would you even act on that? You have so much other stuff to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like it doesn't feel like I have any extra time, but I think it's the moments when I have found myself being creative for just when it's like, I need to do this for me. I know that this is a calming activity, to sit and play an instrument or to sing. I've got a Zoom choir rehearsal every Thursday that is really chaotic and wonderful. We figured out we can't, there are 16 women in the choir, and we can't really all sing at the same time because of the lag in like the internet
Mm,
signal. It just like throws everything off time.
right.
But we discovered, we can sing really long tones, and we can improvise with each other singing really long tones. And so we have this weekly sing that's pretty wonderful. And there's another artist who's got a group called Voice Cult, who's been doing these like singing meetups um, that are like super wonderful. She works for the House of Yes.
Hmm.
And so like I've been meaning to join one of those. It's more for amateur singers, she says, but um, it's, if you've got time, it's cool that there are all these things out there on the internet you can join. And every night on Instagram, you can watch also, you can watch all sorts of things that I wish have been live streaming this whole time. Like,
I know. I was thinking about that too. Like there is like this new bevy of these artists and singers who are just taking an hour of their week or their night to just sing and talk, and it's really nice. And yeah, I kind of wish it had always been there too.
yeah, I could have used all of this. Like when I was like pregnant and had an infant I was taking care of and was stuck in the house. That's the time when I felt the most isolated from my artist community. And I really wish that people had been live streaming things so I could have felt like I could participate. I
Yeah,
hope that some of this keeps going.
I hope so too. There's a lot of, for all the bad, there has been, a good handful of good things to come out of humanity and our friends and artists in this time, and I hope it continues.
Yeah. What else are you hoping will come out of this that could be good?
I hope that there's sort of maybe like a increased sense of kindness or personability, because I feel like I've heard that a lot from my friends, is like, or coworkers, is if they're out on a walk somewhere, they've noticed that strangers have been a lot nicer to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just because we're so starved for that connection right now that when you see anyone, you're kind of like, oh, hi. Um, and so I hope that continues. I mean, it shouldn't take a global pandemic to bring out the good sides of human nature. But if it has brought out it has if it has brought it out a little bit, I hope it stays out. And I was talking to someone else for this podcast too, actually, recently, who said she hopes that our food game is better when we come out of it, because like we're being forced to rethink what we eat now since we have to be so picky about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was just hoping that maybe we have a different sort of consciousness about what we take in, what we let into our bodies or even our lives. That might help because we're cut off from everything that we typically have right now. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we get a better appreciation of those things, or cut out the stuff that hurts us more than helps us, stuff like that. I don't know. I just hope it ends soon, and I don't know when it's supposed to be done with. I don't know if anyone knows.
Yeah. I had been really, really looking forward to this music festival that happens in Bulgaria just every 5 years. And it's was supposed to happen this August. And it was like basically is the last thing on my bucket list, you know?
Mm.
And like I really just I love Bulgarian music so much. Have you ever listened to any of the Bulgarian choir stuff?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're in for a treat. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love it. It's incredible music, and there's this like Bulgarian national state and television choir that put out these records called Le Mystère de Voix Bulgare, volumes 1, 2, and 3, and it's just some of the craziest, wildest choral music that I have ever heard.
Hmm.
And I've been in love with this music since I was about 20, and I joined a choir when I was at Yale that was singing. It was called the Yale Slavic Chorus, and then and that music was a huge influence on my music.
Hmm.
And then after like all kinds of stuff going on in the world where I didn't really want to be around any guys.
Yeah.
I just, I'm like,
Thanks for talking to me, by the way.
I'm slowly getting over it. It helps that I'm raising a little guy.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I just, like, I joined this women's chorus, and that was so healing for me. So I've been singing Bulgarian music in this women's chorus for a couple of years now, and we were going to perform at the festival. So that's like I'm really hoping that the world opens up by August, but I'm not really counting on it.
Yeah, I'm sort of in that mode of keeping my hopes high, but my expectations are almost as low as they can go at this point because I know everyone keeps rescheduling these tours and these movie releases for the fall or late summer, and I just look at them and I'm just thinking, that's to me that's really optimistic right now. Unfortunately, I'll be surprised if we reopen by then, at least totally.
Yeah.
Um, is the festival rescheduled yet, or are they
And
hoping that it happens?
I haven't heard any news about it yet.
Oh, okay.
I've been afraid to look, honestly.
Yeah, hopefully it's not. Hopefully, if they do reschedule, it's just for next year, and then they do it 4 years later, as opposed to like, oh well, we'll just wait 5 more years,
Yeah.
because that would be fun for you to get to go and actually perform in it.
Yeah. It was like, it's been a lifelong dream just to go to that festival. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, I grew up in Georgia, and Jeff Mangum from Neutral Milk Hotel is from Athens, Georgia,
Hmm.
which was like the closest cool town to where I grew up. And he somehow got to go to that festival. I don't know how he even heard about it, but he went to that festival like, in the late 90s and made all of these field recordings, and they were just mind blowing and so beautiful. And and I always wanted to go. And
Is that how you first heard about it?
yeah, well,
Oh, cool.
I kind of, it was like around the same time. That was the first time I heard about that festival,
Yeah.
but I had just gotten interested in Bulgarian music and was like, oh, this like, not exactly hometown, but like Georgia, like I feel an affinity for any musicians from Georgia. I was like, wow, this Georgia guy is into this thing too. This really obscure music. How cool.
Yeah.
And it really influenced him too. It's interesting. I mean, it's like, it's folk music that has, it's got like harmonies that you don't usually hear in Western music,
Yeah.
and a style of singing that's influenced by Turkish music, but it's its own thing. It's also like influenced by gypsy music as well.
Hmm.
But it's, I don't know. You've got to like, please listen to these records. They're
Yeah, I
so,
will. I am making a mental note, and when I go back and listen to this to cut it for release, I'm sure I'll be like, oh yeah, and then I'll definitely check that out, because I'm always on the hunt for things like that, just things I haven't heard anything like before. Although it's interesting that you say or acknowledge that that type of choir music or chorus music did inspire you as an artist, because I feel like even not having heard Bulgarian music myself, if I look back now that I know this, if I look back at your first couple albums, especially Harpoon, I even without hearing it, I can see that, because there is sort of this very choral element to many of the songs, like this many harmonies. Sometimes they're a little dissonant, they're haunting, but it is definitely still folk music.
Yeah, I think it's I love when I listen to a record that gives me permission to do something weird.
Mm.
It's like when you have an idea and you're like, that idea is a little far out. Like nobody's going to get that. And then you hear somebody who did something weird and they did it
Yeah.
really well. I think it's like that at that time, definitely the two biggest influences for me were Diamanda Galas because of her emotional intensity, because she had
Hmm.
been like, it's like she'd gone to Greece and studied with professional mourners, and she brought like extreme grief into her music that is, like socially unacceptable in America,
Yeah.
and just went, she just went wild. And, it's like any little, it's like I was playing around with songs that I thought were like kind of dark. And
Yeah.
these like, and I was surrounded by a lot of really twee musicians at the time. It's like I was spending my summers in Olympia, Washington. I was a big Microphones fan. I loved the K Records people, and I would go to their shows, and I'd be like, I write songs, and like they would be singing these happy little twee things, and then I would be like, blah, death. And they would be like, whoa, dude, you can't do that. Like, you can't bring that energy into the world. No bad days, no bad dreams, like
Yeah.
watch out what you're channeling. And I would be like, catharsis is good, like this is what heals me. I'm sorry if your life is so happy all the time. but but like this is what I need to feel good. And
Yeah.
when yeah, then like when I heard Diamanda Galas, I was like, whoa, I'm not dark. That's dark,
Right.
and then it just gave me permission to sing whatever I wanted to sing.
Yeah, and I mean,
So
Harpoon definitely has a wilderness to it. Um, Even especially the title track, I can see what you're talking about there. But that's so interesting to think about, like when you hear something that gives you permission to do what you thought you couldn't do. I guess that's just sort of the effect, though, of hearing or keying into something so new to you that you just had never realized could exist, like her or like the Bulgarian choir music.
yeah, I mean, the thing with the Bulgarian chorus is that they use dissonance really well.
Hmm.
They're singing a lot of major seconds, minor seconds, even they're singing quarter tones. So
Hmm.
they are singing, you know, harmonies that are like so close together that, you know, here we just, we think that it sounds wrong. But when it becomes a part of the form, and you get used to it, your ear gets used to it, then it just becomes amazing. You're just like, it brings an emotional depth to the music where it's like the switch from something that is dissonant to something that is like more traditionally consonant harmonious is ecstatic. It's just
Right.
like, it's broader. It's really good music.
I'll have to look it up. I'm excited now. Um, so would you say that that's something that often inspires your work, is that sort of dissonance or grief or just those sort of dark emotions? Like, is that where you sort of pull a lot of your lyricism from typically? Or has that changed over time?
I think it's kind of like I can relate a lot to comedians, you know, like it's sort of like
Mhm.
you go, my ex-husband, my kid's dad is a comedian. And I think it's the same, you know, like sometimes my songs are funny and
Oh
silly.
yeah, they definitely are sometimes.
And I'm just like this, and that's, you know, it's like, but it's often just like it's kind of like taking a situation and chewing it up and making it more palatable, or, you know, like taking a situation that is full of grief and singing it in a beautiful way so that it feels better. You know, it's kind of, it's all about making it more beautiful, making it better, like dealing with things that are hard to deal with. And um, sometimes the way that I deal with a thing that's hard to deal with is I make it silly. You know, it's like if you take whatever is like your darkest thought, you know, like think about what are the terrible things that you say to yourself, like, you know, when you think that you're a failure or you're not good enough, um, and you just like are being mean to yourself. If you take that voice and then you just speak it like a little cartoon voice and like turn it into a silly character, then it takes away its power.
Yeah.
So I think that has been a lot of like that's a healing process for me, is you take something that's plaguing you and torturing you and you turn it into a silly song and you laugh at it.
Yeah, it's like ridiculing the thing that was tormenting you to try to remove its power over you a little bit.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
you take something like, you know, I mean, I grew up queer in the Southeast in the middle of the Bible Belt and was shamed for my sexuality, you know, from the time I was 10 until I escaped from there when I was 18.
Hmm.
And you know, you take those things also, like that people are trying, it's like you take the things that people are trying to shame you for and you make them like big and orchestrate them into some big song, you know, and then you're not, and like, and you're just like, ha, this is me, I'm not ashamed of this at all, you know, like that also,
Yeah.
like it takes the power of the shame away. So I think that's a lot of what my music is about too, is like that I'm trying to liberate myself from these these like dark forces, and the song is taking the power away from the darkness, you know. So
Hmm.
it's not like it's not really a dark song, you know. It's like designed to make me feel good, and I hope that it makes other people feel good too.
Well, sometimes catharsis or cathartic songs, even if they were inspired or they're about something dark, the song itself ends up not feeling that way because of the catharsis. So if someone's listening, they might feel that. And that relief is usually a positive thing. So I would imagine if you're singing about something dark, just sort of that expulsion of it can be relieving more than depressing or casting you down.
Speaking a secret gives it less power, you know. It's
Yeah.
like the you could like it's the I've learned a lot through, you know, just like dealing with my own traumas, you know. I have a fantastic therapist right now, and she's been confirming all these things for me lately. It's just sort of like, oh, you know, like you've been on a good path this whole time, like you know how to take care of yourself. And like keeping secrets is bad.
Yeah,
Don't do
it's
it.
pretty toxic.
Everybody should
Even if
write a song. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to put it on a record label or like, you know, release it into the world if you don't want to, but like take the stuff that's scaring you and turn it into a song and like sing it when things are getting dark. It's a good
yeah.
tool.
Yeah, it can definitely be therapeutic in that sense. Were you always like were you always a songwriter? Do you remember writing songs when you were little, or was that a later thing?
Um yeah, I wrote lots of songs when I was a little kid. My dad is a songwriter too. So,
Okay.
and my mom is, sings lots of folk songs. She's got a great memory for folk songs. Um, and so it was a big part of our family culture to sing. And it didn't feel like I was doing anything, like it wasn't like I was like, oh, I'm going to do stuff now. I'm going to be an artist now or something. It just was like, this is how we live our lives, is like we make up songs about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. So when did you realize or decide that that was going to be sort of your, quote unquote, official like path in your life?
Um,
Or I guess what inspired you to start, making set albums?
well, it's probably when I was like playing with my boyfriend at the time, Dave Longstress, who was in the Dirty Projectors.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really mean to me about my music, like he was really like, I'm the artist, you are the backup singer. Like,
Mm.
I am just, like, he was like, I'm the genius and you are not. And you should just stick to supporting me because I'm going places. And I was not satisfied with that at all. I was just like, what? Like, what is
Yeah.
this? We had a very different approach to music, like he had a lot of training, like classical training. And so that was intimidating. And it was really amazing that he could just, he could take something in his head and write it down on a piece of paper and hand it out to an orchestra and they could all play it.
Yeah.
That was really cool. But I always felt that I had better stories. And I knew I had better stories when he started writing my stories into his songs. I was like, oh, like now you're going to take my story? You know what I mean? And I was just like, no.
Yeah.
And I got out of there. And I was like,
You took your stories and left.
yeah, yeah.
I don't blame you.
That was it. Basically, like, the minute he started taking my story, I was out of there. And I was like, my story is worth telling, and no one can tell it but me. And I'm going to have to use whatever tools I have to do it. And I didn't play a lot of instruments when I was first starting out. And I think that was actually great. That was actually really freeing to just go for it with, like the experience that I had watching a composer at work, to know how it's like, okay, I know how composition happens. I can't write it down, but I've got GarageBand on my computer and I can just sing it into the computer. And I have a voice that can do a lot of things. So the things I would do with instruments, I'll just do with my voice. And, then I just started working with textures, and I was studying painting at the time and thinking a lot about texture and color. And I thought of the instrumentation as just that. It's just texture and color. And it doesn't matter if I can like play the supposed right notes, A lot of what I was doing was just playing a drone, like playing one note and having a song that's just one chord, like you work with what you've got.
Yeah, that sort of reminds me of a little bit anyway of when I first was getting into Tune Yard's music. When she released her first album, I got it on vinyl, and it came with this little card that basically just said, "Hey, I made this all on Audacity with a crappy microphone. So, if I can make this, then don't feel hindered by the tools you think you're limited by." It's just sort of just, you have to realize what your tools are and use them to their fullest extent. So if you felt like you didn't have this huge deep well of, technical training, I could see how for some people that might be it might dissuade them from trying to record something. But sometimes you just kind of have to lean into what you have, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're trying to like make something and you're around some expert who starts telling you that you need to know all these things and you can't do it, stay away from that person. Get away from them. That's toxic. That's very
Yeah,
harmful.
definitely. I can
And
imagine. Yeah.
I can't even count how many people I've met who are classically trained, who cannot make up a single thing. They cannot improvise 3 notes. They have crippling anxiety the minute that there's not, sheet music in front of them. And
Yeah.
that's a terrible way to be. And they know it, and a lot of people who study really hard in music school end up giving up their instruments and never touching them again, and turning their back completely on music. And that's because their voice has been taken away from them and they've just been turned into technicians, and they don't like it. It doesn't feel good. We all have a story to tell. And I'm hoping, I think music education is changing a lot. I teach songwriting to kids now, and
Mm.
they have, kids have access to so many different resources, through the internet that we didn't have when we were little. So
Yeah.
they know that there are options now, but it's what can you do with a classically trained pianist to turn them into a composer if they weren't taught that their voice matters?
Yeah, definitely.
You can try dosing them with a lot of ayahuasca. sometimes that works.
Just does the trick.
Give the entire New York Philharmonic ayahuasca and see what happens. That's what I want to have happen after COVID-19 is done.
Yeah, just take the reins off of all these people who are so stuck in their own heads, basically. Yeah. So I want to talk briefly anyway about your fourth record, which I think is your fourth record, Soul Retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I want to talk about this one is because I think I had started following your work when The Last Tree came out. I forget how I even found it. That was before there were a zillion blogs, but somehow I found it and I really liked it. And then Parplar came out a few years later, and then Soul Retrieval felt so different. And I have this vague memory of reading a press release of you calling it gothic R&B. I don't know if you actually said that or if I made that up. But I kind of wanted to talk about if that was a deliberate sort of shift, because in my ears, Soul Retrieval felt very different, not at all in a bad way, but felt very different from your first 3 records, and maybe even more uplifting in a way. I don't know if you'd agree with that or not.
Yeah, well, I was in a really good place in that, when I was making that record. I had just, I'd made 2 records on my own. That's Harpoon and The Last Tree. And then I signed with a record label for Parplar, and had the experience of, a producer trying to shape my image, what I looked like, what I sounded like, how I recorded. And, it was a person who was really very abusive,
Mm-hmm.
and I I went through with the whole process of making the record, and I took a lot of abuse in making that record. But I had a vision and I wanted to get it done and I wanted to try it. And I thought, maybe it was yeah, maybe this could be a mainstream thing. All right, I'm going to I'll make a few compromises and see if this music career works out.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately that was a really devastating experience and really messed with me. And when I finally was free of my recording contract, I made Soul Retrieval, and that record was more the record that I had wanted to make. It was there were a few songs on it that Michael Girard had said oh, I'm not into this, I don't like this, or I don't understand why you want to write a song about this. And then there was a lot of new material that I had written that was kind of like about the experience of getting someone off your back who's a vampire, you know?
Yeah.
And that was the second time I did it, I mean, it's sort of like, I also really love Harpoon, which I made in the same situation where, I was just free from the dirty projectors and able to do what I wanted.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
really like reveling in that, being able to do whatever I wanted to do. So, that like, I felt very free, and I had some money from, going on a lot of tours, and I was able to work with the people that I wanted to work with and pay them. And, when you like, I highly recommend, if you are a woman, that you go into a recording studio and you write all the checks, you know?
Mm.
You write all the checks. Don't let some dude do it for you. Like,
Yeah.
make sure everybody knows you're writing the checks, because then they're going to listen to you when you
Sure. Yeah.
say, I want more strings on this. Like, then they're not going to say, what do why would you do that? When you say, I want to double my voice, then they're not going to say, it sounds fine, just one, or like whatever it is. They're just going to question you less. And like, it's a challenge as a woman, having people take you seriously, having people believe that you're competent. It's
Yeah.
hard not to be second guessed, or to have people take your ideas as their own. And it really helps if you can be writing the checks.
Yeah.
So, I paid for that album. I paid everybody on that album. And I got it exactly the way I wanted it. I just wish that it was out on vinyl, because we recorded it totally analog. We recorded it to 2-inch tape, and I've got like the tape masters, but I was only able to like afford to put it out on CD.
I
And
know that would sound beautiful. That one would sound beautiful on vinyl.
yeah, it was meant to never go to digital, to just be a pure analog thing.
Yeah. I feel like you can hear that openness though, totally. Like even from the very beginning, that first song on the album, there is just sort of a lightness or an airiness to the arrangements that I think reflects that. Especially now that I'm aware of that, I think that's definitely evident. And I feel like maybe is that what the title of the record sort of refers to too, like you retrieving your own soul.
Yeah, it's so like soul retrieval is a specific ceremony that, like, in Quechua shamanism, that you do if you have, basically it's like, the idea is, if you have trauma, you've lost your soul. Like every time you endure something, like every time your body endures something that your soul doesn't dig, your soul escapes. And it's like, I'm not staying here. It's sort of like this, like, there's a concept in Western psychology that's similar also, where it's just sort of like you detach from reality and you kind of escape. So soul retrieval is basically a ceremony that you do to call back in all of the pieces of your soul that you've lost. And like, you make a promise, you're like, hey, if you come back, I'm going to treat you better. I'm going to make sure that you don't get hurt. I'm going to
Yeah.
not do stuff that is like anathema to your existence. I'm going to be good. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be true to myself. Yeah.
That's so interesting to hear, because I do feel like that is sort of evident in the music on that record. And then your last record, Chasing an Illusion, is your fifth, I want to say. There wasn't one in between those two, right? Am I completely forgetting one?
I've done a lot of like little sort of side records and things, but
Okay.
but as far as like a pure Larkin Grimm record, no, that was Chasing Illusion was right after
Did
that.
was that one also one where you felt like you had complete creative control?
Yeah, but I didn't have as much money. But yeah.
But that's okay, because I mean, it must feel really, really, really good to be able to get a record finished and know that from top to bottom it was what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it is great. It's really great. I like um I'm like so happy that I've been able to do that in my life, because there are so
Yeah.
many incredibly talented artists out there who really haven't had the chance to do that.
Yeah.
And it's, like, listen to yourself, you know? It's really hard. I mean, it's especially like um I think it's especially important for anyone who's like from a marginalized group of people, someone who grows up being questioned and being told that they are wrong, their thoughts are wrong, or their urges are wrong, you know, um, or that there's something wrong with them. Like, I mean, if you're raised to think there's something wrong with you, then it's really hard to trust your instincts with something. And if someone that you admire questions you and suggests something different, it's just almost second nature to say, okay, I'll try
Right.
that. You must be right, you know?
To just sort of
And
acquiesce to whatever they say.
yeah, so it's really important to protect yourself, to know that you're vulnerable as an artist, like, and like, okay, you're open and vulnerable, and you might not need as much help as people say you do. People see
Sure.
an artist and they're like, oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I want a part of that. I want to be in that, you know? And they want to get involved. And that feels good to your ego when people want to get involved with your project. But
Yeah.
if you're a really sensitive person, sometimes you should just go it alone and just go with your instincts, you know?
Yeah, and it feels like over the course of your discography, I mean, I don't think you've ever, to my ears, you've never been someone who completely ignores those instincts, but to hear you talk about sort of shedding that worry of what other people are implying or directly telling you to do, you can kind of see that because with Soul Retrieval, it was in the arrangements, it was in the sound, it was in the mood. And then with Chasing an Illusion, I felt like that was your least diluted album yet. Um, like it just felt so completely from your mind and your life experience, especially lyrically. Um, just sort of free and able to write what you want to write.
Well, thanks.
I mean, I feel like it's evident as a listener. And I mean,
Thanks for
I've
noticing.
I've I've listened to your music for a while. I mean, I suppose we should say this is not the first time I've spoken to you.
Yeah, yeah.
My whole point with this podcast is that I and hopefully listeners too are getting to quote unquote meet, artists. But I have spoken to you at least twice actually, because I think the first time one of my friends was at your show in Boston
Was
and
this when it
called
was
me.
was this when it was your birthday?
I think it might have been my birthday because I think I remember that she called me and she was like, I have something for you. And then she must have tossed you the phone. I don't know, but it was very, very nice of you to talk to me. And I don't remember what we talked about, except that I do recall I mentioned that the one time in my conscious concert going life, you had come to Connecticut and I couldn't go because it had snowed. And
Mm.
you said you still played. And I do remember you told me that there were like, it felt like there were like religious people that showed up and you weren't sure why, but they did. And so you played a show.
Well, Connecticut is filled with Puritans. They've
Sure.
forgotten they've forgotten that they're Puritans, but they still act like it.
Sure. So I thought that was really funny. I must have been like 18 or something. If she was in Boston already, I must have been turning 18. And then, yeah, the second time I talked to you, I was walking around a Walmart. And all I remember is that I think you asked if I had been listening to anything recently. And I mentioned the new Throwing Muses record.
Oh, yeah.
of course, I remember these things because it's not every day that's, someone you're a fan of just like talks to you on the phone. But it's very nice to be able to talk to you at length for once. So thank you for joining me for this chat. I've been having fun doing this, so I'm glad that people are agreeing. I'm glad you agreed to talk to me.
Yeah, well, it's been really nice. I've got a 3 p.m. Kid's birthday party via Zoom that I need to
Aw,
attend.
cute.
So,
Okay, so really fast in the last like 30 seconds. What's something that you are listening to, watching, or reading in this quarantine time? If anything, or do you have no time for artistic engagement?
well, no, I mean, I have time. I've been getting back into Dylan. I feel
Okay.
like it's nice. He just has so many insights about human nature, It's like he's speaking as an outsider. And sometimes I think he might be a psychopath, Sometimes I'm like, Bob Dylan doesn't actually care about anyone, But
Mhm.
he understands so much. It's almost like it's almost like he doesn't get involved with people. So he's got this incredible objectivity. So that's been nice. And I've been, my friend Sam James, whose music is kind of Dylan-esque, has been performing his songs on Instagram every day. So I watch his videos of him singing and playing guitar with these brilliant songs. He's kind of like, he's really into the Silver Jews,
Mhm.
And like Stephen Malkmus fan, and like also like he's the person who introduced me to the whole freak folk scene. He made me a mixtape when we were
Oh,
in
okay.
college. But his music is great. Sam James. He's like
Okay.
nobody like knows who he is outside of a small community of like the anti-folk people who he was
Mhm.
friend. He kind of grew up in that scene. But he's a brilliant songwriter. And I've been watching this like TV show about ultra Orthodox Jews in Israel.
Oh, wait. What's that called? I've been meaning to watch it.
Oh, I'm like, what is it called again?
It's pretty new, right?
Yeah. I'm like, oh man.
Am I wrong in thinking
Diesel
it's
or
just called? Oh, okay. I was thinking of a different one. Isn't there one that's just called like Unorthodox or something?
Yeah, I watched that also. That was also really good.
Okay.
But this other one, it's a 2 seasons of a show. It's from Israel,
Hmm.
and it's really good.
I know I've been meaning to get into those.
Yeah, it's like it's as deep as The Sopranos was. This is like really good television.
I know television's really good these days.
Yeah, it's called Stiesel, Shtisel.
Okay. I'll
You're
have to
gonna
add it
love
to
it.
my list.
The
I think I will love it.
hottest, it's like the hottest guys, and they're all super Orthodox and weird. It's great.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for talking to me. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today.
All right. It's been really lovely talking to you too. Thank you for calling.
Yeah, thank you for calling me. Have a good Zoom party.
All right. Bye.
Take care.